Imagine opening your phone, right, to buy a train ticket to a soccer game, and you see a $98 surge price.
Yeah, which is just crazy.
Right. And you decide your best option is to literally hike along the shoulder of Interstate 95.
Just walking on the highway.
Exactly. And that is the reality of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. We are just days away from the June 11th kickoff. And whether you're a diehard fanatic who's been analyzing tactics for months or you just want to survive the water cooler conversations next week, you're about to witness a massive cultural moment.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be everywhere.
It is. And we have our hands on this really comprehensive, deeply detailed Wikipedia breakdown of the entire tournament.
There's so much in there, yeah.
So much. And our mission today for this deep dive is to look way past the basic match schedules. We want to get into the unprecedented scale, the logistical nightmares, the political friction, and honestly, the relentless commercial machinery of the largest World Cup in human history.
It really is a machine at this point.
It is. Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can even look at the drama on the pitch, we really have to understand the math of the tournament itself. The fundamental DNA of the World Cup has been completely mutated.
Yeah, the math is where the sheer scale of this event first becomes apparent. I mean, for decades, the magic number for the World Cup was 32.
Right. 32 teams.
Exactly. 32 teams playing 64 matches, usually wrapped up in about a month. It was a highly successful, globally understood formula. But starting with this 2026 edition, FIFA has expanded the field from 32 to 48 teams.
Which, I mean, that feels like expanding a perfectly good 64-team college basketball bracket by just bolting on a whole new tier of wildcards.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
You suddenly have to accommodate a massive influx of games.
Right, and the schedule just balloons dramatically. We're going from 64 matches to 104 matches.
Wow. 104.
Yeah, played out over 39 days. And to make that work, the format is now 12 groups of 4 teams. The top 2 teams from each group automatically advance, but so do the 8 best third-place teams.
Okay, so it's a lot more forgiving.
Very much so.
Okay.
They all funnel into a newly created round of 32.
Well, I mean, I can see the appeal of the expansion when you look at the debutantes. Like, we're going to see nations like Cape Verde, Curacao, Jordan, and Uzbekistan stepping onto this massive stage for the very first time.
Which is huge for them.
It's fantastic for that level of inclusion. But I have to push back on the format a bit. When you allow the 8 best third-place teams to advance, doesn't that severely invite teams to collude?
Oh, the collusion risk, yeah.
Right. Because if 2 teams are playing their final group stage match and they both know a simple draw guarantees them both enough points to advance as a quote-unquote best third-place team, the incentive to actually compete just disappears?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the governing body was deeply aware of that vulnerability. And your exact fear almost dictated a completely different tournament structure.
Really? What were they looking at?
Back when the 48-team expansion was originally approved, I think in 2017, the initial plan was to have 16 groups of just 3 teams.
Wait, 16 groups of 3? That sounds mathematically broken.
It was. I mean, analysts immediately dismantled the idea for that exact reason. In a 3-team group, the 2 teams playing the final match know exactly what result they both need to advance.
Oh, because the third team has already finished all their games.
Exactly. They're sitting at home watching on television.
Yeah.
So if the 2 teams on the pitch only need a draw to eliminate that third team, they can just pass the ball back and forth in the midfield for 90 minutes.
Nobody attacks, nobody scores.
Right. And they both safely go through. It entirely compromises the competitive integrity. FIFA even floated some truly bizarre ideas to prevent this, like mandating that every single group stage draw be settled with a penalty shootout.
But wait, even a mandatory shootout doesn't solve the core issue. I mean, a team could deliberately lose a penalty shootout just to manipulate the standings and, like, eliminate a specific rival.
Exactly. The risk of manipulation was simply too high to ignore. So, to preserve the integrity, FIFA was forced to pivot in 2023 to the current format we have now, which is the 12 groups of 4.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that solves the collusion problem because the final matches in every group are played simultaneously.
Right, so nobody knows the final math until the whistle blows.
Exactly. But the trade-off for that competitive integrity is that staggering 104 match count.
And adding 40 extra matches to a tournament doesn't just change the schedule, it completely shatters the physical limitations of a normal host nation.
Oh, absolutely.
A single country just isn't enough anymore, which is why we're looking at the first World Cup ever co-hosted by three separate nations.
Right. The geographic footprint is larger than any sporting event in history. The U.S. is carrying the bulk of the load with 11 host cities managing 78 matches.
Including the final at MetLife Stadium, right?
Yes, in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Then Mexico brings 3 cities to the table. And the legendary Estadio Azteca in Mexico City is actually making history by hosting World Cup matches for a record 3rd time.
That's incredible history right there.
It really is. And finally, Canada rounds out the continent with 2 host cities, Vancouver and Toronto.
So spreading a tournament across a continent makes sense on paper, but looking at the specific venues in the United States, a huge logistical red flag pops up for me.
The turf.
The turf. Many of these venues are American gridiron football stadiums. They're designed for the NFL, which means they use artificial turf. And you cannot play the world's biggest soccer matches on artificial plastic turf.
No, absolutely not.
The ball bounces differently, the injury risk changes, and frankly, FIFA regulations strictly require natural grass. So how does that even work?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really shows the sheer logistical extremes required to retrofit North American infrastructure. They couldn't just, roll out some temporary side over the plastic turf and hope for the best.
Because it would just get destroyed.
Exactly. So FIFA partnered with a university research team from UT Knoxville and Michigan State to literally design, grow, and install specialized grass for these specific stadiums.
The agricultural engineering behind this is borderline science fiction. I mean, they are basically terraforming indoor American football stadiums.
They really are. 8 of the 16 chosen stadiums had permanent artificial turf that had to be replaced. And the real challenge lies with 4 of these venues, Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, and Vancouver.
Because they have roofs.
Right. They're enclosed or retractable roof stadiums with heavy climate control. Growing elite-level durable athletic grass indoors without natural sunlight or typical airflow is incredibly difficult.
So how do they actually pull that off? Do they bring in sun lamps?
Part of it is lighting, yes, but the researchers had to create specific botanical hybrids depending on the venue's unique climate. For the stadiums in cooler climates, they're using a highly specific hybrid that's 84% Kentucky bluegrass and 16% perennial ryegrass.
Okay, very specific. Why that mix?
The bluegrass provides the necessary durability and aesthetic, while the perennial ryegrass roots incredibly fast, which gives the pitch immediate structural stability.
Wow.
And then for the warmer venues down south, they're using specially engineered Bermuda grass, which thrives in high temperatures. They're meticulously managing these microclimates inside these massive indoor NFL arenas, controlling the lighting, the moisture, laying this living grass over the artificial turf, just to ensure the ball rolls exactly as it should.
That level of environmental control is astounding. But, you can engineer the grass inside a stadium all you want. You cannot engineer international borders.
That is very true.
Moving players, staff, and millions of global citizens across 3 sovereign nations in 2026 brings some very heavy political baggage. And here's where it gets really interesting, because you essentially have an immovable object meeting an unstoppable force.
Yeah, it's a massive clash.
You have strict, formalized United States border security policies clashing directly against the reality of hosting a truly global event. And to be clear to you listening, we're just impartially reporting what the source material lays out here.
Right, and this raises an important question about the friction between international diplomacy and international sports. The source material highlights the stark reality of the immigration policies currently enforced by the second Trump administration, which reinstated a travel ban affecting citizens from 39 different countries, citing national security concerns.
And this isn't just a background issue. It directly impacts nations that have successfully qualified to play in this very tournament, specifically Haiti, Iran, Ivory Coast, and Senegal.
Exactly. And to understand the mechanics of this policy, we have to look at how the exemptions are structured. The policy does include a specific carve-out for athletes, coaches, and vital support staff.
So the teams can get in.
Yes. The people actually stepping onto that carefully engineered grass are allowed to enter the U.S. to compete. However, the U.S. State Department confirmed that ordinary citizens, the fans from those qualified nations, are not covered by this athletic exemption.
Which means, barring rare diplomatic waivers or holding dual citizenship, the actual fans from those countries are generally barred from getting visas to enter the U.S. and watch their national teams play.
The barriers to entry are immense. Now, the documents do note that the U.S. temporarily dropped a $15,000 visa bond requirement for fans from 5 African nations.
That was Algeria, Cape Verde, Ivory Coast, Senegal, and Tunisia, right?
Yes, those 5.
And a $15,000 bond is basically a financial guarantee that a visitor will leave the country after their visa expires. So dropping that requirement is a significant concession to ease travel friction, provided those fans hold a valid tournament ticket.
Right, it helps. But even with those concessions, the geopolitical tension really reaches a boiling point when you look at the situation with Iran.
Yeah, the diplomatic hurdles between the U.S. and Iran have created a massive logistical ripple effect. Early on, the Iranian Football Association president, Mehdi Taj, was denied a visa to enter the U.S.
And in response to that denial, Iran actually threatened to boycott the World Cup draw entirely.
Wow.
While they eventually reversed that decision, the friction fundamentally altered their participation logistics.
Right, I saw that Iran actually moved their national team training camp from Arizona all the way to Tijuana, Mexico, which just seems like a massive logistical headache just to avoid having your base of operations inside the U.S. border.
It is a huge headache, but it was driven by a demand for security guarantees that Iran felt were not being met. FIFA officially approved the move to Tijuana, but the friction extends beyond physical borders and directly into the stadiums.
With the flags, right?
Yes. FIFA has implemented a controversial ban on the pre-revolutionary lion and sun flag in the stands, which has already sparked threats of lawsuits.
And to give some impartial context for you listening, the lion and sun flag represents the pre-1979 revolution Iranian government, and it's frequently used by anti-government protesters today. So this creates a direct clash between FIFA's strict rules regarding political neutrality at matches and the fans' desire for political expression.
The contrast is incredibly stark. The United States is firmly enforcing its stated national security and border policies, while Iran is demanding specific diplomatic security guarantees and respectful treatment of its national symbols in order to participate.
Right.
And when you place all of this tension next to FIFA's official marketing slogan for the tournament, which is literally "Football Unites the World," the reality on the ground feels distinctly disjointed.
Yeah, that slogan definitely hits differently when you look at the logistics. And that geopolitical tension doesn't just stay in the embassies or the training camps, it trickles all the way down to the turnstiles. Because you think navigating an international visa was hard, wait until you see what it takes just to walk into a stadium as a fan.
Oh, the fan experience is intense.
For those who do made it past the borders, they are walking into a bizarre, exhausting mix of high-tech commerce and physical endurance testing.
The commercial machinery of this tournament is operating at a scale that really dwarfs previous events. I mean, the financial extraction begins the moment a fan tries to purchase a ticket. For the first time in tournament history, FIFA is utilizing dynamic ticket pricing.
Which is essentially surge pricing, like you'd see on a rideshare app during a rainstorm, but applied to World Cup tickets.
Exactly.
So if an algorithm detects massive demand, say, 2 incredibly popular teams draw each other in a knockout round, the software automatically spikes the price in real time. Final tickets have been reported reaching an astonishing $6,730.
It's staggering. And applying dynamic pricing to a captive audience fundamentally changes the demographic of who can actually afford to attend these matches.
Absolutely.
And the financial friction doesn't stop at the ticket price. The infrastructure required to move these fans has buckled under the weight of the crowds, which leads to severe transit costs.
New Jersey is the perfect example of this. MetLife Stadium is hosting the final, and the transit situation became a literal crisis. Round-trip train tickets to the stadium spiked to $98.
For a train ticket.
For a train. Fans looked at that price tag, realized they couldn't afford the train on top of their match ticket, and seriously started considering walking to the stadium.
Which meant hiking along the shoulder of Interstate 95.
Yes. People were attempting to navigate a major American freeway on foot just to reach a soccer game. It became so incredibly dangerous that local officials had to step in and physically cut off all pedestrian access to MetLife Stadium to stop people from walking along the highway.
And it highlights a bigger issue: the reliance on massive suburban stadiums surrounded by vast parking lots and highways, rather than integrated urban venues with robust, affordable public transit.
Right, it doesn't work for a global crowd.
Exactly. It creates a severe bottleneck for international visitors who are totally unaccustomed to North American infrastructure.
And once you finally pay the surge pricing, you navigate the $98 train and you make it inside the stadium, you face the bottle ban.
Oh, people were so mad about this.
Rightfully so. Reusable water bottles are completely banned inside all venues. FIFA's official stance is that they represent a safety hazard because they could be thrown onto the pitch as projectiles.
And fans are understandably furious. I mean, these matches are taking place in the middle of the fierce North American summer heat.
It's sweltering.
Yeah, so confiscating reusable water bottles and forcing fans to rely on stadium-provided hydration stations or, expensive bottled water,
Yeah.
it just feels punitive.
Going to this World Cup sounds like attending a highly anticipated theme park where the ticket prices surge while you're literally standing in line. You have to hike alongside speeding cars on a highway just to get to the front gate. And once you're finally inside sweating in the summer sun, security won't even let you bring your own water bottle.
It's a lot of friction. The logistical realities are harsh. But the organizers are attempting to offset this by leaning into a massive, multi-billion-dollar commercial branding push. It's really designed to overpower any negative fan experience.
Just blanketing the globe in merchandise.
Exactly. The licensing deals are everywhere you look. The LEGO Group has released officially licensed construction sets featuring players like Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe.
Which is pretty cool, admittedly.
It is, and Panini is back with their traditional sticker albums, but because the tournament has expanded so drastically, the physical packs are larger. They've even partnered with Coca-Cola to hide exclusive, highly sought-after stickers inside the labels of soda bottles.
Wow, they're really leaning into the collectibles.
And it extends deep into the digital realm as well. Netflix has stepped in to publish a dedicated simulation video game called FIFA World Cup Launch Edition.
Wait, Netflix is doing the video game?
Yeah, FIFA has strategically created what they call a digital football ecosystem. They recognize that the vast majority of the globe will never deal with the surge pricing or the highway hikes.
Right, they'll just watch from home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're licensing their brand across multiple digital platforms, mobile games, and streaming services to monetize that at-home audience.
I mean, even the bureaucratic ceremonies have been turned into heavily branded spectacles. During the highly scrutinized World Cup draw in Washington, D.C., where the groups were finally decided, Donald Trump was actually awarded the first ever FIFA Peace Prize by FIFA President Gianni Infantino.
Which was an event that predictably drew significant attention, analysis, and controversy from various international observers and human rights groups.
Of course.
But it underscores the reality that every single aspect of this tournament, from the group draw to the grass on the field, is a heavily curated, branded, and monetized event.
Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. Let's do a quick recap. We're looking at a fundamentally mutated, supersized World Cup that has expanded to 48 teams, creating a grueling 104-match schedule. To make that sheer volume of games happen, researchers are pulling off incredible agricultural engineering feats, literally growing custom blends of Kentucky bluegrass and perennial ryegrass inside enclosed, climate-controlled NFL stadiums.
Which is still amazing to think about.
Truly. We also explored how the intersection of formalized U.S. border policy and global sports has created real geopolitical tension, dramatically impacting fan access and forcing the Iranian national team to move their entire training operation to Mexico.
Right.
And wrapping this entire unprecedented spectacle together is an intense, sometimes chaotic commercialization, algorithm-driven surge pricing, fans hiking along highways, banned water bottles, and exclusive Lego sets. So what does this all mean?
It means we're witnessing a live stress test of the modern global sports model.
A stress test. I like that.
Yeah, because by expanding the field to 48 teams and spreading the matches across 3 massive North American countries, FIFA has guaranteed record-breaking revenues and an unprecedented level of global inclusion. But in doing so, they've also introduced profound logistical, political, and infrastructural vulnerabilities that threaten the core experience of the event.
And for you listening, whether you're tuning in to analyze the tactical matchups playing out on that specially engineered grass, or you're closely watching the geopolitical drama unfolding just off the pitch, or maybe you're just waiting to see a tiny nation like Curacao make its historic debut, you are now perfectly equipped to understand the invisible forces, the money, and the politics shaping the games you are about to watch.
You really understand the mechanics behind the spectacle now, which brings up something really important to consider as the opening whistle blows.
What's that?
As these 104 matches unfold across 3 colossal countries, generating billions of dollars in the process, Will the sheer size and commercial weight of the 2026 World Cup become the new, unavoidable gold standard for all future global events? Or will the friction of surge pricing, border tensions, and logistical strain prove that a tournament can eventually become simply too big to govern?
That is the ultimate question we're left with. We started by talking about how the core of soccer is built on beautiful simplicity. But when you mutate that simple game into a continental, multi-billion-dollar machine, you really have to wonder if the beauty of the sport can survive the sheer weight of everything built around it. Enjoy the games, everyone!